everybody. It's Jason Burress. Welcome to episode 12. You're talking to the highest rated law firm in Collin County.
Easily.
There's no close second. 250 Google reviews, 5.0.
Perfect.
5-star rating.
Quite the milestone.
700 plus reviews in total. I'm fired up about that.
I think you should be. It's the number one thing that I hear out of new clients that I did not already know before they showed up. That's the number one thing they talk about.
Yeah.
Saw your Google reviews.
It absolutely sticks out with clients, potential clients, and there is not another business that can do that. Not another law firm, another business that has 250 5-star reviews.
Which goes to show you we can do
what they can do,
but they can't do
what we do.
That's right. We're feeling a little chippy today. We're feeling a little chippy for some reasons we cannot reveal. But tractor talk. I am knee deep in negotiations for a tractor and all the implements that you can imagine. Do you boys have a lot of experience on tractors?
I drove a tractor from Indianola, Oklahoma to McAllister, Oklahoma when I was 5 years old. And I've been on them ever since.
Experiences that only an Oklahoma boy could have.
There you go.
Do you have experience with
every
tractors?
time I think I'm a redneck, Brian opens his mouth, and I'm like, there's a whole nother world of redneck just north of that river that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Do I have experience with tractors? No, I've avoided Have I seen tractors? Do I know what tractor? Grew up in Thrall, Texas. But barring the osmosis that you get from living in that bubble, no.
All right. Would you like, when I get this tractor that so happens to have a buddy seat with appropriate leg room for a 9-year-old, which would also be appropriate for a 6-year-old and 4-year-old?
If you would offer that to Cooper,
yeah,
he would love you. He already will love you for the rest of your life, but that is right in his wheelhouse.
It is offered, and I mean, I'm just talking about taking a tractor and then going and picking it. You can pick up rocks.
Get front end motor?
You can pick up rocks. You go take them somewhere and dump them. You can put a box plate on there and make an already nice road even nicer. There's all kinds of things that you can do. It's a bunch of fun stuff.
It's like a real life video game.
It is actually Luke and I. It's Luke, but I play too. But we have a tractor game.
Oh,
we go bale hay together. We go cut, rake, and bale. We do all kinds of fun stuff. So party at my place up north of here, where we're about to have our first tractor.
Nice.
Yeah,
sounds like it's going to be redneck Disneyland.
It's going to be fun. Yeah, it's going to be fun. We're doing some serious mowing up there. I also got my first 0-turn mower, which it's unbelievable.
Yes.
Yeah.
I always had like the riding lawnmower, but it's
2 levers it's a new
oh,
world.
it's so much fun.
Yeah.
It's like, and you put on a Joe Rogan podcast or Burress Law Life and Friends. I mean,
they're neck and neck in the rating.
they're neck and neck. They're very close. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun on those 0-turns. I mean, holy cow! You don't have a lot of yards that call for it here, but I probably mow like 3.5 acres, and it takes a little while, but it's fun. So if y'all want to come up and mow, all right, let's get into it. We got new team members.
We do.
We got a growing team. We had a big upgrade. We have a big upgrade at associate attorneys, do we not?
Absolutely.
Josh Flippin,
Yeah.
Sulphur Springs boy.
Yep. Our trend of small town boys continues. Not that we're trying to do that, but it just seems to work out that way. But yeah, I tell you, he for a boy from Sulphur Springs, he's quite well read. We had a client who was not born here, who was born in a very exotic foreign land. And to my great surprise, Josh had actually read a lot of books and knew a lot about the history of that guy's country. And it made the transition into, developing some rapport with what might have seemed like a not such a likely candidate, Very, very smooth. I was super impressed with that. It's not something I expect a whole lot out of somebody at his age group.
Yeah, I don't know when did he join us? Like February, March, somewhere around there.
I lose time.
I lose time too. We're in August. We're July, late July, about to go to August. It's he's been here a while, but he's doing
about
great.
that time frame.
Yeah, he's doing great. And then we got a couple other members coming. We got a paralegal coming. We got a I'm going to do everything girl coming. Man, I mean, I'm fired up about where we are.
Yeah, I like the team. I like what we're putting together.
Nobody in Collin County has more. No personal injury firm in Collin County has more lawyers than us. That is a fact. And we're going to be bigger, better. We're making this thing as good as we can possibly do. And how do we do that?
Those 7 different kinds of smoke at them.
I like it. I like it. We're just on it, man. We're on it. I like what we're doing. I like everything. This is the best team we've ever put together. And I mean that. I mean, it is the best team.
I agree with that.
And you've been with me for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best team we've ever had. And I promise you before you got there, we didn't have a team that was, I mean, it's the best team we've ever put together. I mean, just top to bottom, left to right. It's, I mean, when y'all are on a case, aren't you just amazed at like the support team that you have?
Oh, it's all the difference in the world. I, in particular, came from a couple of the bigger firms in Dallas before I came up here, and the difference in just the quality of casework that we do here and are able to do because of our size and our volume versus some of the big folks out there that everybody hears about on TV and the radio, it's night and day difference. I mean, you're talking the difference between a Chevrolet coming off the line and an Indy car that's been coach built. It's dramatic.
I think so. And both you guys have worked at other plaintiffs' firms, and so you both know. I mean, you obviously compare the two, right?
Yeah, it's just night and day. I mean, just flat out is from how we go about selecting which cases we take. Because let's be honest, we don't take every case that walks in the door.
Right.
We pick and choose who we want to work with. And then when we get to work on it, I mean, the work is just outstanding from the beginning to the end. And there's a number of team members involved in that. And everyone's going at it with a servant's heart. Everyone's going at it, giving it their best. We're treating this client like it's a family member. And you see it in the results. I
was doing I had to fill out a survey for something, and the 8th question was, are there any team members that you currently have that you would not enthusiastically rehire? And it took me like 1 second, and I was like, no, there's absolutely not. I got to move on to question 9 like super quick. And I was so fired up about that because I think it's the first time in 19 years in law practice that I could actually say of my team, this is the first time that there's not one person that I wouldn't enthusiastically rehire. And I mean, that means so much. And it takes so much effort to get to that point where, 1, you're making really good hires. 2, you're training them up the way they need to be trained. And 3, if they're not carrying their load, if they're not representing the client exactly the way that we say it needs to be done to our level, we'll fire them. We'll get them out of there. Bottom line, right?
Yeah.
And we did that earlier this year.
Yeah.
We did that. We fired an attorney. I mean, frankly, we fired an attorney and we hired a better one.
That's exactly what we did. But I would, going back to kind of what you were talking about, I would go out on a limb and take it a little bit further that not only would you not, enthusiastically hire the team again, I think everyone on the team would enthusiastically take the job again. I mean, I can't think of anyone that's not happy, working where we're at. So, I mean, it's culture's everything, right? Culture is everything.
And I think it's hard too. I mean, I think it's one of those things that you have to really work on because, I mean, I know me. I mean, if I'm not happy, it tends to show. I mean, I kind of wear, I wear my feelings on my shoulders, and I mean, if you're not happy, and it's. Sometimes you have to look back. If something's not going right, you have to kind of go, let's retrain. Let's retrain instead. You don't need to blow a fuse, right? And sometimes you blow a fuse and you end up looking at it and you go, well, I really don't need to do that. This is a training issue.
Right.
And then if you train and you don't get the result, then fire them. Fire them and bring on somebody better because at the end of the day, it's about our clients. It is about putting the best team on the field that's committed, and we're committed 24/7. I mean, we get calls all night.
Yep.
And we got teammates that are calling on it. They'll call back at 10 o'clock. That is what it is. And so, and what I like about where we are is we're not sitting here going, oh, we're the best, and we're just sitting on. No, we're sitting here looking at it every week going, what are our deficiencies? How do we get better? And then we make a plan to try to get better. And I'm not saying that we're some experts at it, but we're all trying really hard.
Absolutely. No, the effort shows. The clients know it, and that's why you see 250 5-star Google reviews. I had a client come in today, and the dynamic today versus the first 5 years of my career interviewing a client was just, it's kind of comical, really. This guy has a phenomenal case that any dozen law firms would probably trip over themselves getting to, and he spent the whole time trying to sell his case to me. Whereas the early part of my career, it was, hey, I actually know what I'm doing here, and I know I'm only 26 years old, but I promise you I've got a law degree, and 21 years later, I don't have to have that part of the converation anymore.
There's nothing worse than being a lawyer under 30.
It is rough. It is rough. It is, my female lawyers tell me it's even worse when you're a lady, and I'm sure they're telling the truth. I have no doubt about that. But man, this is one of those careers when you start getting a few gray hairs, you don't really mind it so much as some folks in other ones. But yeah, he comes in and I ask him, hey, I don't recognize you. I don't know you as a former client. How'd you find out about us? And he's like, man, I looked you guys up. I looked for the best attorneys in Collin County, and it was very obvious that guy was you. And I couldn't get in here fast enough. That's why I called you guys at 10 o'clock at night. And here I am the next day. And, that's something that he's not going to get whenever he calls and I'm not going to name any names, but the folks you hear on the radio and TV, you're not going to be speaking to an attorney within 24 hours.
You mean Dewey, Cheatham, and Howell, or Briscoe, or Hammond, Eggers, and Allen? I mean, who you mean? Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of, let's just get into it. We've had some big results. And as far as that goes, our new call sign for big results, we got a cowbell.
That's fantastic.
You know what the cowbell means?
What's that?
We got another 7-figure, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-figure result.
Fantastic.
And that is Kyle Hale's case.
It was my
fired
case.
up about that. Hey, by the way, that is 6 7-figure results lately, like within the last year, not even close to being a year. 6 of them.
Yeah, that's huge, right? 6 of them in the pandemic.
Yeah,
and we're getting 6 7-figure cases.
Little community law firm. Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. It's a real big deal, and it's a real big deal when you get a 0 offer up front. I want you to tell the story, but let's go.
Yeah, so let's start at the beginning. We get the phone call. This is a case happened down in Van Zant County, which if you've ever been, don't go back. But I've been to Van Zant County. But regardless, bad guy rear ends, I think it was Highway 54. I forget the highway number out there. Bad guy rear ends, third party, not us, careens off and into oncoming traffic, hits our client head on. The photos of the property damage are unbelievable to me. I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been an attorney for 16. As an undergrad, I worked for a law firm that was in the PI business. I haven't seen photos like this. The engine of the responsible party's vehicle is on the ground. It is not attached to the front of the vehicle. The whole front of that car is taken off. Our client's truck gets hit, rolls multiple times. He's airlifted from the scene. He has 4 surgeries. 4 surgeries. He suffered a broken left heel that had surgery to implant hardware. He had a broken hip that had a surgery to implant hardware. He had a broken sternum. He had 3 broken ribs, and he had multiple levels of lumbar vertebrae fractures. Big case. And it happened on June 15th.
Of 2020?
2020. And We got the call on June 19th. So a couple of days ago, obviously they've got a lot on their plate, right? Samantha Villarreal with our team takes the intake call and immediately identifies this as people that need our help and people that we want to help. We got them in immediately. This is the first case. I've told the client this, and he told me this when I spoke to him the other day. He goes, I remember you saying this. This is the only client I've ever signed up without meeting him because he was in the hospital. So his wife came in. I got to speak with him over the phone, and we got him in immediately. I mean, the intake team just did a fantastic job on this case. I can't give them enough praise. And so we get to work because we got a client that's really hurt, and we start identifying avenues of recovery for him. And there was a number of policies that would cover him. And within the first 90 days of having the case, not of litigation, not of negotiations, the first 90 days from the time they signed up, we had already brought in $65,000 that's sitting in our trust account.
And you say there's a number of policies that would cover them, but that's if you find them.
It's if you find them.
And nobody finds them better than us.
No, nobody does. And so once we got going on this, it was a team, and one of the team members is a young lady by the name of Tricia, who we all call the Phenom. And then she was just exactly what you would expect her to be on this case. She was on it. She was building a relationship with the client, and she really cared about this. We care about all of our clients, but there's just certain people that you have this real connection with. And she had that on this case. And she and I would have a strategy meeting all the time. I mean, you know how Tricia is. She just kind of walks in your office. And so we laid the traps. You know, we're coming up with a strategy, when we're going to pull the trigger, when we're going to pull the trigger, when we're going to pull the trigger. Got there, sent the demand, and they offered me nothing. Nothing. So we had no choice but to file suit. And then once we file suit, we do what we always do, and we come up with a litigation strategy, right? And this was my litigation strategy. You ever watch wrestling in the 80s?
Always.
One of my favorite wrestlers was the Ultimate Warrior, okay?
Hall of Famer.
Now
deceased.
Hall of Famer.
But what Warrior did is when they pull back the curtain and everyone walks out like Ric Flair, that's not Warrior. Warrior sprinted down to the ring.
Full sprint.
He's coming at you. He's going crazy on the bar, and then all hell's breaking. That was my litigation strategy, right? The minute this is filed, we're sprinting, and Mr. Insurance Company, you're in that ring watching it come, and here it comes, baby.
Yeah.
And I don't care about your written discovery. I don't care if you answer these interrogatories. I don't care what it says. Kyle, when do you want a trial date? What are you doing this afternoon? I can call my first witness. Let's go.
You called for a corporate rep in 6 minutes.
I called for a corporate rep depot in 6 minutes. Bring them. And so that was the litigation strategy. And it very quickly went to be one-way traffic.
Topics of interest. I want a corporate rep to talk about who authorized the zero offer.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Subject number one.
Yeah. I have a great story about Joe Jamel, that a family member, Joe, represented him on something, and the story goes, I don't know if any of this is true or not, but the story goes, Jamel walked into the mediation and just took his jacket off and threw it in the corner and went to the opposing party and goes, "You bring a checkbook?" And so that was my negotiations with you. Did you bring it all? You know. And so we went through that process of one-way traffic. You know, answer this, don't. It doesn't matter. Where are we at? Let's go. Come on. Here it comes. This is a UIM case. I don't need discovery from you. You already got my meds. You said nothing. Here it comes, right? And I mean, this was the kind of case that anytime they would send something, there was a response within minutes. They sent an email, and I'm banging out a response at Cooper's T-ball game. Like, nope, you're wrong, nope. So last Friday, I get a call from one of the attorneys over there that was handling the case. Had not been on the case before. It was a different attorney handling it. Guy we have a history with, nice guy. And he goes, "Hey," and because of that history and because of that relationship, I responded to him differently than I may have responded to other people. And he said, is there any way, Kyle, that you would come off the $1 million policy limits? And he did not get that sentence out before I started saying, nope. And if it had been someone else, I probably would have just hung up. That's where I was at with them. And so he goes, "Okay." He goes, you got it. And so we got the full $1 million in. We got the additional 65 from the other policies. Great result for the client. The clients, I kind of
$1,065,000
There you
gets
go.
you that right there.
I kind of
Official sound.
you know, it's one of those things where you're so fired up, and I would love to try. I would love to try that case. You know, and the client's likability is off the charts. I mean, he's just the nicest guy, and it's one of those things where I'm proud. I'm so proud of our team's work on it, but I'm so happy for him because that is the result he deserves.
Well, and being that part of the case as a UIM case, it doesn't do the client any favors to try it. I mean, we've got some case law that kind of goes both ways, but really the best result for that client is to get it done without going to trial. If we can get the top result, the full policy without doing it, that's the best way. And to get it done is just phenomenal. I got an email from that lawyer who we had on another 7-figure case in the past year, and he said, "You need to buy the barbecue." And it was text, and I responded. I said, "Where do you want to go?" And he said, let's go to Hutchins. I said, well, Hutchins is closed. Why don't we go to the best barbecue place? Let's go to Local Yokel. We got the best barbecue. We got the best drinks. I mean, you've had a bunch of results lately. In fact, you got a gift certificate to Local Yokel.
I did actually.
Bottom
yes.
line,
Yeah.
and we're gonna talk about that next. But I'm so proud of that case. And we don't say clients' names, but I'm so fired up about that case. That's the 6th 7-figure result in the past year, and really it's not even close to a year. I'm super fired up. I mean, it just shows you where we're going. It shows you that time after time, we are almost always the first call that that a victim makes, and we really have our choice, and we try to choose wisely because you can't take every case, but. Congratulations for a job really well done, you and the team.
One of the things that's fun about it too is now you get to go beat down the subrogation and lien holders, and that's for me as much fun as going out and getting the victory, from the bad guys.
It's the firm's calling card. It's on one side you try to get a full value, over full value result. We try to get the most money we can for clients. And then on the backside, what makes this firm super special is we spend tons of hours working on liens, on health insurance subrogation interest, where they get to receive money back for treatment that they have paid for that is crash related, and reducing medical expenses. And we're going to talk about a case here directly that we had an 87+% reduction overall, but it's the firm's calling card. And what I like about the backside, what I call the backside, is every dollar we save a client goes in the client's pocket, and it's a huge difference. They're like, why do you do that? If you don't get a penny of it, Burress Law, why do you spend so much time doing it? And the answer is client satisfaction.
Yeah,
when you can show them. We got you 70% reductions overall, or 87+%. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I had that in another case that recently settled, and the defense firm was a buddy of mine, and I was in an all-out war with the subrogation interest holder. I mean, it was flat out. You're getting a 3-page letter that basically says, "Take a long walk off a short pier," and we got it to work in our favor and made a huge reduction in behalf of the client. And my buddy who's on the defense side doesn't do this stuff, right? And he's like, well, what's the big deal? And I go, it's $20,000, that kid. That's a big deal. That's a big deal to a 25-year-old,
Absolutely.
And it goes to client satisfaction. I mean, that case, the client's dad was at the closing with me and said, "You have changed my son's life." This is it was more than $20,000 he got in his pocket, but this is
way more. I know which case this is.
Yeah,
way
it was
more.
over 6 figures that he got in his pocket as a young 27-year-old, however old he is, young 20s with a young family, and it's all just on the backside.
With an offer before he hired us that wasn't even close. The whole offer wasn't half of what he was going to get in his pocket from what he got in his pocket.
So without getting down to the penny, they came to us with an offer. It was a fractured wrist case.
I know the case.
Most that was it. There wasn't any other, no neck, no back, no head injury, fractured wrist case. And the insurance company had put together an offer for him, and he was going to get about $25,000 in his pocket. And they were very worried about hiring us. And I said, we can do some things on how we structure the contract, but I promise you when we get to the end, you're not going to regret the decision of hiring us. And they didn't, because we put basically about another $100,000 in his pocket.
Right.
And so they were so thankful and so happy. And I was so proud of the result. It was just another one where, you go to that war with the subrogation holder and you be the tip of the spear for the client, and it makes all the difference in the world. And that's a case where we talk about reviews. The entire family reviewing. His mom sent in a review of us. His dad wants to do a review for us. And then this is an adult who, it's not like his parents were involved in the case.
Right.
But they were just so thankful for everything that we did.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And whether it's fighting over $20,000 on reducing the medicals or the subrogation or the hospital liens, or fighting over $100. I mean, our team has seen me fight over $16. It's important, man. Because it teaches everybody on the team that we will fight. It doesn't matter how much it is, pennies, dollars, hundreds, or thousands. We got to be ready to fight. Let's talk to you about a recent one. This was a case that was way over $500,000, big case.
Yes. Yeah, it's not quite cowbell level, but we quite literally run
standards.
Yeah, we got to keep our standards up. But the truth of the matter is, I get just as proud about a $30,000 settlement or a $30,000 resolution as I do a big one, because when a $30,000 case is resolved, it's because that's all there was on it. And if you wring every single penny you can out of a case, that you've done everything you can do, I honest to goodness feel a sense of pride in those, even if it is a smaller case. Now, in this particular case we're talking about, it's smaller than what Kyle was talking about, but we're still talking about well over a $500,000 case here. Although at various times we thought it was a $100,000 case, then we thought it was a $200,000 case, then we thought it was a $250,000 case, and you may want to speak to that. We had at least 4 or 5 different policies that weren't immediately obvious, that over time we were able to dig up. And this was a case that came in horrendous injuries, broken femur, which, if you don't already know this, is the biggest bone in your body. We're talking about a very young man who was, in his mind, headed towards a future of being a pilot for the United States military. And in the blink of an eye, his I'd hesitate to say friend, his someone he was driving with made a series of horribly bad decisions, and while driving at an incredibly high rate of speed, wrecked this one vehicle in something that's one of the more horrendous vehicle photographs that I have seen in 21 years of doing this. We're talking about a young man who ends up having multiple surgeries, where he's going to have scars for the rest of his life, who has big chunks of metal in his body for the rest of his life that he otherwise wouldn't have had. So this was one that, from jump, to me was more about how are we going to find the pockets of recovery available, because the damages were there and obvious from jump. So
great case, and that was one. A couple things. We had a 0 offer, and then when we got into it, I remember. It was either 175. Actually, just let me read what I wrote about it. And this is I had some root beer spill on this, but it is dried. It's a little bit crinkly, but let me read the review first. And the review is from the client, minor child, 18 now. I got in an awful wreck that caused me to break my right femur. Burress Law took my terrible experience and managed to get a very nice settlement to help me cope and live my traumatic experience. I would highly recommend this firm to anybody looking for a group of highly professional people who get the job done to an excellent degree. The settlement I am receiving will go a long way towards shaping my future for the better. Highly, highly recommend. That's a great review. And my comment on it to our fans was, this review fires me up. The minor child's family turned to us for help after receiving the complete runaround from the insurance company. Brian Mincher, Noemi, and several others on our team worked, strategized, and nurtured this case until we received a $200,000 offer. We collectively said no to that offer and kept pushing. Finally, the insurance company for the bad guy offered $300,000, which is their policy limits. From there, we found 5 more policies. 2 were 6-figure policies and earned policy limits offers from all of them. Over the last 2 months, we have reduced the client's medical expenses by 88.6%, including defeating the health insurance subrogation, defeated them totally. I'm super proud of our team and the work that they do for Texas victims every day. So you're talking about 6 policies. You're talking about finding policies that others wouldn't have found. They just we did it.
You get a policy limits offer, you take it, you close your file. That's what most folks do.
2 of those policies, I'm just telling you folks, they were either or policies. You don't find firms that make both of them apply, because to make both of them apply, you have to be living at both residences full time.
Right. Yeah.
And it was an amazing job. And I thought the teamwork in the case was amazing.
Yeah, I got to tell you, everybody on the team made multiple trips out of the office to do off-campus work on this one. I vividly recall going and begging, ultimately unsuccessfully, some United States military recruiters to get involved. And,
we did everything.
I got thrown out of multiple recruiters' offices, which is an odd thing to do in your 40s. But it's what we had to do in order to try to find the people that we needed in order to, and this is a term of art that it gets used in the field all the time, paper the file of the insurance companies. Whatever happened to you may or may not be all that interesting, but unless you can put it in a format that gets into the insurance company's file in such a way that causes someone over there with a checkbook to get some heartburn, it doesn't make any difference. And I think the team did an incredible job of weaving together a narrative that we were able to, with a lot of creative hard work, piece together a storyline with evidence in such a way that it made it obvious even to these grizzled insurance types of whatever these was, 5-6 policies, every single one of them ultimately. Really, the hardest one was the first one. After the first one, all the rest of them were like, oh yeah, clearly they thought it was worth the original 3. Clearly, it's worth every penny I've got. And it ended up being a great result in the sense of we got all available pockets of recovery drained. And I've got to say, in 2 decades of doing this, I don't think I've ever seen a client walk away with a bigger percentage of the recovery than what we saw in this case.
The client walked away with 63.3% of the settlement proceeds. That's after paying case expenses, all the medical providers back, and attorney's fees. To walk away with 63.3%, that's good. But that's what we do.
That's unheard of.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That is unheard of in what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to throw a big old asterisk up there. Past results do not necessarily ensure futures, because that percentage I've never seen anybody get once ever.
But what we do is we try our best to make the best possible strategy for each particular case. And you're
Absolutely.
Right. We got a big section in our contract about there's no guarantees. There's not. The only guarantee that we make is we will put the best strategy that we can together, and we will try our very hardest. We'll try our hardest to work hard, to work efficiently, effectively, and let the chips fall where they may. And they usually work. It usually works out really well.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And in that regard, since we resolved this case just this week, we've had 3 different policy limit cases come to fruition, all of which were in litigation, all of which had either 0 offers or offers well below the medical bills before we brought them into litigation, all of which got turned around and got paid at full policy limits after we deposed the defendant driver and or the defendant company owner. It's amazing how much hope springs eternal in the wicked, evil heart of a defense lawyer and a insurance adjuster until you crush those dreams. And it's remarkable, and it's one of the most fun things that I get to do in my job is take those lousy pre-lit offers and turn them into a situation where we're anxious to go try it and they're begging us to take their money, which that happened to the tune of $100,000 on a case that's not even on our list to talk about just this week.
Yeah, and what I would tell the folks is this. I mean, we have put together the best possible team that we could. And when Brian talks about it, he's got 151 trials under his belt, and the fact is there's levels to this business. There's really levels to this business. And when you have somebody like that, once you get the right lawyer in place, they will say, hey, I know what's coming. I know what's coming down the tracks, and let's settle this thing before we get crushed. And I just think that's a very real thing. I think I absolutely believe 100% that there are levels to this business, and reputations matter.
Absolutely. Well, everyone at this table spent more years than they probably care to recall writing pretrial alerts and post-deposition reports to insurance adjusters. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if the guy or gal on the other side of the case that you're writing that trial report about is someone who cannot find their fanny with both hands, couldn't litigate themselves out of a wet paper sack, you're going to say that on your report. Meanwhile, if that person on the other side has got teeth this long, you're going to tell them that too, and it makes a difference. It absolutely does.
Well, my case is going to be super short because there is a confidentiality agreement in place, and
who agreed to that?
Well, why do confidentiality agreements happen? Why do they happen?
Well, generally because someone involved has got the good sense to realize they would rather keep things quiet, and they're willing to pay some extra money to do so.
Yeah. Well, what I can say is this. It was an 18-wheeler crash. It was a head-on collision, and the crash report did not blame the 18-wheeler. It did not blame our client. It blamed someone else. And, it was a very hard fight. We had 7 or 8 experts. They had 7 or 8 experts. And right on the eve of trial, the case resolved, and I'm very happy for our client. I really wish I could say more, but we deposed neuroradiologists, we deposed neuropsychologists, we deposed crash reconstruction experts and orthopedists and neurologists and police officers who absolutely lied in their depositions and you name it, we did it. But at the end of the day, a zero offer, turned out to be a confidential settlement in the best interest of our client. I'm really proud of that case. I don't see it as a grand slam or even a home run, but I got a text message from the lawyer on the other side. I got a text message, and that text message is reflective of the respect. I know that, and so, and he looks forward to the next fight, and so do I.
No,
and
he doesn't.
he
looks forward to talking to us. He looks forward to seeing us.
Well, what I can say,
but he doesn't look forward to us on a petition.
What I can say is that the other side won 0 hearings, and we had like 11 of them. So, but be that as it may, you know, I'm fired up. I'm really proud. You know, 4 years ago, nobody that's on our team now was there then, and I'm the only holdover. And you know, sometimes it's been kind of a lonely feeling. You know, it's kind of a lonely feeling when things, you know, turn over, and they turn over. But this team has been together longer than any team I've been a part of. And boy, I really appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for being there and the stability that you provide. And man, I think we've got a fantastic team, and it's only going to get better.
Oh, heck yeah. I appreciate you, and I appreciate everybody on the team as well. I'm a big locker room guy, you know, and I think we got the best locker room I've ever seen.
Yeah. Sorry if I was a little distracted. We mentioned that we never stop working, and I'm getting text messages from the team at the moment that I had to respond to. But yeah, I mean, I was saying that earlier. Culture's, you know, kind of everything. And, you know, we've presented this stuff today as Kyle's case or Brian's case or Jason's case, and that's not true. I mean, Brian talks to me about his cases all the time, and I give him my input, and I pick Brian's brain. And if you come to our firm, you get everyone in the building. You get an access to all of us. You know, it's not, hey, I want Brian or I want Kyle. Well, that's great, but you're going to get both of us, you know, and I think it's just such a huge asset to our clients.
I absolutely agree. It's been a pleasure, boys. Promise you'll be back.
You betcha.
Yep.
All right. Hey, thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching or listening to the Burress Law, Life, and Friends podcast. We will see you down the road.